What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Backlot 605 podcast. Today, we are doing something very special. We're going live on YouTube for the first time. But if
My phone even told me so already.
But if you're listening to it later, you're also technically listening to it live.
Recorded live.
Previously recorded.
What is up, you schmucks? That's a word we do not use as much as we need to. It's our brand. It's our mantra. We need to own it, love it, take it. I am one of your schmucks. I am Casey Calderman, joined with my co-schmuck, Mr. Brian Mensing.
I like that. I like that better than co-host. So I'm the co-schmuck.
The co-schmuck, and we are joined by one of our favorite guest schmucks ever. The schmuckiest.
That's all.
The schmuckiest fat dude of them all. The schmuck who digs flicks, Mr. Andy Heller.
Hey guys, how's it going? I won't do the long-winded intro today. I'll just be a polite guest and headbang to your theme song.
Yes. I mean,
when is Andy a polite guest? I mean, come on.
Listen, I am well-mannered. I am courteous. I'm just loud. That's all.
After the chaos that was last week's episode, I think we could use a little calm this week.
And we bring Andy in to follow the other Andy. You think this is going to be calm?
Woo woo!
I know Andy should have came in with like nails in his head this time. Just all right, I gotta one up the other Andy. I have to do it.
Why is there blood? Don't ask. I'm just going to the ER when we get done with this.
Don't worry about it. Medical emergency, but it's worth it. I suffer for my art.
It's a bit, guys. Come on, get over it.
Drill bit.
Oh, such sights I have to show you.
There it is. And that's because this week we are ending our Clive Barker series for the month of October, talking Hellraiser. So I think on many accounts we have saved the best, at least the most notorious, for last. And Andy, this is one you hopped on right away. Hellraiser was your jam. This is a movie you played in our 80s horror movie countdown. You were all over that. Made our top 10. So we're talking a top 10 80s horror movie this week. But before we get into that, we have some house cleaning to do.
We have house cleaning? I don't like to clean.
I don't either, but we have to do this.
Are you guys kicking Sam Lenz out of the club?
We're actually letting you know that since you hated Hubie Halloween, we're no longer friends.
I'm the one to go. That's fair. All right.
I'm not gonna lie, Andy. I still want to do that debate.
I understand.
I really want to do that debate. So, Casey, real quick here, Casey. We need to start coming up with like debate questions for Hubie Halloween that gives them a 2-minute response. I want to do this like presidential debate style of Andy versus Sam.
My first question is, Andy, who hurt you? Who hurt you?
We'll leave that for the debate.
What's his name? Adam, last name Sandler?
Listen, many years ago, Adam Sandler signed a contract with Netflix that allowed him the opportunity to do multiple films that somehow turned out to be absolute garbage.
This is his best one out of that group, though.
Listen, that's not saying much. Have you seen the rest of these? We're talking about the Ridiculous Six and what?
We're not talking about the Ridiculous Six. We're not talking about any of those other Happy Madisons. We're talking about Hubie Halloween.
Ugh, garbage.
The cinematic greatness that is Hubie Dubois. But that is not the movie I wanted to bring up. That was just for the bit, and I think that's last year was Ad Astra. I think this year is Hubie Halloween.
True.
Our group bit.
That is fact right there. Like there is so much hatred for Ad Astra that we gave Andy so much crap for that this year it is Hubie Halloween, and I'm completely going to use that.
And the one guy who loved Ad Astra and kind of pointed it out to me last year, also on the podcast episode I just released today of the Criterion Break with Andy and Blake, called me out again for Hubie Halloween.
That is partially why I did it, because I just listened to that today, and I had to do it again. But the movie I do want to bring up, though, since we talked about it last week and coming soon, is the new release of The Witches, because I know all three of us watched it.
Yep.
I know one person's thoughts, that is Mr. Andrew Heller's. Brian, I don't know your thoughts. I don't know if you know mine.
I'm just looking at Andy's eyebrows do this little thing, and I already know how this is going to go. I have not looked at anything in regards to.
But I don't have eyebrows.
Okay, let's hear a brief. Like, what did you think?
Oh, what did I think?
Yes.
I guess I was used to the flow of the story going a certain way because I've lived with the Angelica Houston version for the last 30 years in a certain way. And even though I know that even takes license from the book, there's different things that they did differently about this that it didn't sit quite right with me. I will say in terms of how the witches looked themselves, the hands, and especially the hands were just weird. Like, yes, like this, whatever attempt to try to do the rocker thing.
Oh, God. And
like the weird, like stubby toe thing to fit in the shoe or whatever that was supposed to be Anne Hathaway's foot. I kind of get where they were going with like the face and the mouth and stuff like that, but it was a little weird. I give Zemeckis, the A for effort, but I think it's more like a BC for execution.
Brian, I think you're beating around the bush in the fact that this movie's dog shit. And again, I think it's the Zemeckis part of that where you're like, well, I like Zemeckis and I like the witches. I do too. I gave him shit a few weeks ago, but I think he's one of the best that we have working ever. This is one of the worst movies I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, it is like a hair ahead of Hubie Halloween for me, but it's pretty bad.
I don't know how you could put it ahead of Hubie Halloween. This is on the level of like, this is Master of Disguise, Love Guru, Son of the Mask level bad.
Then those must be better than Hubie Halloween.
Enough with the Hubie Dubois. You're just hating Hubie Dubois.
I'm gonna say, just for the sake of Stanley Tucci and Octavia Spencer, that those two alone make it well above Son of the Mask. Like putting them even in the same sentence is just that is an insult to Stanley Tucci and Octavia Spencer, even for their roles in this film.
I will hard disagree. I think Octavia Spencer is horrible in this movie. She doesn't She doesn't know what to do, and I felt so bad for her. And
see, at least at this point here, Andy does agree with me.
I felt so bad. It felt like Zemeckis didn't know how he was directing her, and she was just kind of staring off into an endless void the entire movie. It felt so bad watching a Oscar-nominated actress, one of the best that we have, just talking to mice that aren't there with a director who did not care to direct her of where to emote and show her emotion towards this kid. And I think this is easily the worst movie of the year. I think the effects are just horrendous. They look like they're out of Son of the Mask. That's where the Son of the Mask part shit comes into this. Yeah, I was about 40 minutes in and I finally get to the reveal of the witches with where she gives her big speech about how to rid all the children and turn them into mice. I'm like, oh my God, I wanted to shut it off so bad. Like this, I hated this movie so much.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. So, okay. I want to say, I do want to say that I do agree with Brian. I feel like Stanley Tucci and Octavia Spencer, their presence and the fact that they are trying to hoist this thing up the best that they can, that was nice. And I will also say that I was more eager to finish this movie than I was another movie that I won't say again. But
I swear you're like it's Beetlejuice. You say it enough times, and Adam Sandler's going to come up and pop you in the back of the head.
Yeah, or Brian's going to hit me with his magic water bottle there or something too. Be like, I got a canteen.
Canteen boy.
64. I don't care what you say. That running joke, myself, was one of the best things I loved about that movie was the canteen.
God, just kill me.
So That's how I felt watching The Witches. That's what I kept whispering under my breath.
Yeah, and it's bad. It's a bad movie, and it you have a filmmaker who is filled with imagination. Like that definitely can be said for Robert Zemeckis. He is one of our most imaginative filmmakers. He has made some works that are just top notch, just expert level films. There is something about this reimagining remake of The Witches that feels completely devoid of imagination. And you are completely right. The special effects in this thing are god awful. I was talking about this with my girlfriend because we watched it together, and what makes the original so magical is that it uses these practical effects. And sure, they might be puppets, and they might not hold up to little kids that are kind of used to seeing CGI these days. But good Lord, it was way better than Stuart Little and like the Stuart Little level of mice that were in this thing, and these weird. I don't know. The terror was missing from these witches. They were just. It was just women with jaws that dropped open. They were bald and they had the little warts for their wigs, but it was nothing. There was no fear there.
They couldn't even get a real cat. It was a CGI cat the whole movie. I'm like, what is going on? You can't get a cat?
And Sam said, she was like, have these people ever seen a cat before? And that's kind of what that cat looked like. It's like the people who were in charge had never seen a cat before, and they were going off of how some 3-year-old described what a cat looks like.
I have a theory on the cat, and that's just Anne Hathaway doesn't like cats and refused to act with a cat.
That could be.
I think that might be what it is, but yeah, I'm sorry. I had to bring it up. This movie just hit me in every wrong place as a movie, and for me, it commits the cardinal sin of movies. It is boring as hell.
Yeah,
and that's the 1990 Witches with Angelica Houston is not that. Mm-hmm. It's nonstop from the go. You're in that movie the whole time, and this was not good.
Yeah, the original is very entertaining. This one it hits a point where it's I don't care. I don't care what happens next. Wipe these kids out. Fine. Just squish them and get it over with.
Turn them into mice.
That's right. End it all.
Also, Roald Dahl has a thing for fat kids, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So that's where we'll end it.
Yeah.
I would also like to point out that, just because she has a squeaky voice, that Christine Chenoweth thinks that she can play a child. Just because she's short and has a squeaky voice, so she's automatically going to be a child mouse.
So here's the thing. I was expecting to get the ending we get in the original ending too, where eventually they're going to be changed back. There's going to be that wasn't there a witch that a good witch that defected and turned them back. Well, that spoiler alert doesn't happen in this one.
This is the book ending. It's the book ending, right?
Oh
no. Yeah. The ending he's talking about doesn't happen in the Angelica Houston one. Doesn't happen in this one here, and that's one of the things I was kind of hoping for is be more to the book and whatnot. It's been a long time since I've read the book, so I don't remember.
Sure.
Does it take place in England like the original does? Does it take place in Georgia like this one does? Yeah. That sort of thing. So, I mean, in terms of geographics, I mean, at this point right now, I guess I could care less.
Yeah.
At least the people that are in the movie are respective to the area which they are when they make either one of the movies.
I think this movie, Zemeckis was not the right director to be tackling the South in the 60s, 50s?
No,
not the guy to do that. No, it felt super awkward knowing an old white guy was directing this movie.
But at the same time,
I will admit that I thought that thing while I was watching the film.
Yeah,
and that's me liking Zemeckis.
The thing with it is if they were to actually deal with that, wrestle with the impact of this film being set in the 60s era South, first off, get a different filmmaker. Zemeckis is not the guy to take that story. So maybe that's why they didn't touch that at all. But if they were to have, a black filmmaker that wants to incorporate the witch mythology into this in the middle of 1960s America, you could have a fascinating movie there, and this is not that. So.
Jordan Peele should have done this movie.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Or my dude Barry Jenkins, like really, class it up.
Ooh.
You know, yeah.
I just like to point out that by the time we get done with this, we'll spend more time talking about the witches than Hellraiser.
Probably. I have more to say about the witches.
Yep.
That should be for another episode that we do later.
I'm planning on writing a review because I am like genuinely upset with this movie in multiple ways. I think it's a misstep on many directions, but let's move on. Let's get away from the witches. Let's get to something scarier, which is the box office results for this weekend, because they are terrifying as of late. Right there, Andy is our Vanna White for this evening. Number one is the Liam Neeson Taken 75, Honest Thief, $2.35 million this past weekend. Not much change.
Why are the films not named like that? That's like perfect. Like, just make the name of the movie the subtitle for the movies. Taken 47, Honest Thief.
Taken 8, Snowplow movie.
It should be like the Police Academy sequels.
Yeah, exactly. See, exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Because even Liam Neeson's not self-aware at this point, unfortunately.
Oh, no, he's totally on autopilot. He just needs to know what his character's name is and where he's going to go and how he's going to get there.
Taken 29, Mauled by Wolves.
He needs to show up. He needs to show up in the next Fast and the Furious movie in space. And it's Taken in space.
Taken a car for a ride.
Yeah. Honest Thief, number one. I don't know if any of us have any thoughts. Do we care? Probably not. Andy doesn't care. He's just taking a drink during this too. He's
like, I'm just gonna, like, if I had booze, I would just drink through this whole box office report.
Number two then is The War with Grandpa, $1.88 million. Keep on drinking there, Andy. Number three is Tenet, $1.3 million. Still sticking around. It's the only film from when the theaters reopened 7,000 years ago that's still in the box office. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Number four is the one I do want to touch on a little bit though here.
The movie that nobody knew about until like 3 days before it actually released in theaters.
AKA Disney/Fox dumping this movie in theaters because they didn't know what to do with it.
Yep.
And we can't put it on Disney Plus. The Empty Man, which was a Fox title that Disney ended up picking up, $1.26 million. Again, the trailer, I think, came out a week, maybe 5 days, something like that before.
If that.
Yeah. No one knew about I never knew about this movie, and I host a goddamn horror podcast.
Right. Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah, and I think it made, the top 5 here because there's nothing else out, and it's a horror movie.
It's almost like people went to the theater going, I don't know, hey, that's something I haven't heard about before. It almost looks like $1.26 million worth of, I don't know what this is about. Hey, let's give it a shot.
Oh, just kind of like the Slender Man, but he's empty.
Ooh. Oh, and that Robert De Niro movie sold out, so we got to go to this.
They filled up a fourth of the seats, which is full during COVID. We have to go to the Empty Man. If this would have bombed at the box office, we could have made so many jokes about the Empty Man being an empty theater. Number 5 is The Nightmare Before Christmas. Little over $500,000 here for this past weekend.
I would just like to point out that I also love the fact that we dropped over half the amount from 4 to 5.
Yeah.
And still stay at 5.
Again, not much out there.
No.
Yeah.
This is where like streaming figures really would be nice to kind of have access to, because you go through the box office list and none of those titles excite me at all. But this week, like, streaming services were just knocking it out of the park with the stuff that they come out. Oh, sure. I mean, The Witches exists, but like, people were excited for that. It's a big name movie, but
Borat 2 got a lot of views. I just saw before we started recording, Borat 2 apparently has more views than Mulan did its opening weekend.
Awesome. Yeah.
I'm not
very nice.
If it wasn't for the fact that I'm sticking to the horror stuff for October, I would have been part of those views as well. Otherwise, like November 1st, I got to do like a Borat double feature.
just watch it as soon as possible, Brian.
Yes.
It is one of the year's best.
It's going to be an interesting day when I do that double feature because I have quote unquote I have never seen either one of them. I've never seen the original. I've never seen.
Wow.
Okay, so when the first Borat came out, it did look like one of those movies. Like, yeah, I'm starting to get sour on the Steve Carell's and Will Ferrell's and all the stupid character kind of actor kind of things, and I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I'm out, and I never got back to it. And it wasn't until Sacha Baron Cohen started to get into other things like Sweeney Todd and kind of growing as a name for himself that wasn't Borat. I'm like, okay. And then I did see the trailer for this. I'm like, I'm gonna have to watch this because that looks really, really good. So
that fact is very nice, Nat.
So, and the small little bit I saw on Twitch when he was streaming with Dr. Lupo, to have him doing that kind of stuff live and being live in that character is even better.
Yeah.
Why did I not bring that one up instead of the witches at the time?
Instead of the witches,
it's because you had to start the show on a bad note because you had this sour taste in your mouth as like a Sour Patch Kid that was just knocking the back of your teeth around, and you're just like, I have to puke this out. Like you've been sitting on this for like a week, not wanting to say anything in our chat because you want to be like, I need to spew this when I have the opportunity.
It's a lot easier to go all in on something you hate than to just be like, oh, that was wonderful. Like, that was great. But that's the truth is,
like Borat 2, I didn't love, so maybe that's why I'm not like gushing over that. I have more hatred. I have more hatred towards the witches than I do have love towards Borat 2.
What are we gonna do with you, Casey?
Yeah. But Borat 2 is great. It is definitely one of the weird thing to say. It's one of the best of the year. But
wait until we start trying to figure out the schmuckies.
It's going to be nominated for a lot. I am just saying that.
Okay, so should we move on?
Let's do it.
Let's move on to the news. So the first thing thank you, Vanna White. I appreciate it. Vanna White 3.0, 2.0. I don't know.
Vanna White 100 plus.
Only you are allowed to make those jokes. I'm just saying, Andy.
That's right.
All right. So first thing that we have going on here today is it has been talked about that Jared Leto will reprise his role as the Joker and Joe Manganiello to reprise his role as Deathstroke and to appear in the Snyder Cut of Justice League. And as much as I'm really interested to see how this is all supposed to go, like, is the Jared Leto Joker just simply for the fact that they want to tie in what they did with Batman with Suicide Squad that they're trying to do there, give Joe Manganiello more reason to be Deathstroke, so then that way they can, I don't know. I got small halflings.
That was cool for the little guest appearance there. Nice little cameo.
I didn't know if you saw him or not. Here, you guys.
I was like,
in the words of Michael Mike, discuss.
I'm gonna pop Brian out. He'll pop himself back in when he's ready. This news sucks.
Terrible.
Jared Leto's Joker is terrible. I don't know anything about Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke. He was in an after credit scene for 30 seconds with Jesse Eisenberg's Riddler. Yeah. So this proves beyond a shadow of a doubt, if it wasn't proven already, that there was never a Snyder cut of Justice League. It never existed. There was probably scenes he shot before, but it proves that this just never existed before. And he's shooting now goes from a 2.5 hour long movie to now it is apparently going to be a 4-part series that are each at least an hour long. Yeah. So that I think is why he's adding Joker and Deathstroke and all. I'm sure Lex Luthor will be a heavy presence in this one now too. And I think it's just to pad the runtime of now having to be 4 hours plus, and to fulfill of, hey, if people love my Snyder cut of Justice League, then I'll get to keep doing more with the characters I set up and put in this universe. So I don't like this news. I'm starting to care less about the Snyder cut once again.
Yeah,
I don't know you even cared about it in the first place.
Not really, but adding Jared Leto's Joker to it doesn't sweeten the pot at all.
No, this mythical Snyder cut, whatever it was before,
it's not now.
It's not that. This is we gave Zack Snyder some money to make from scratch, it seems like, his Justice League movie. So it's a Snyder cut, but it's not the Snyder cut that everyone was release this. It's more hashtag make the Snyder cut instead of hashtag release the Snyder cut. So you're just loading it up with more garbage that's already in this thing, and then you're just trying to bloat this DC world up even more. I don't care about this at all. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it, but I'm gonna talk a whole lot of shit about it beforehand because this is a disaster.
Now, I will say this for the sake of Joe Manganiello. He literally had one line, like 10 seconds. So there might be more to that will actually be maybe helpful to us. The Joker part of it here, I don't get the rhyme or reason behind it. At least, Joe might have something to do with everything. Who knows?
Yeah.
I like when he showed up on screen, his vision, his look of Deathstroke, I really enjoyed, and I want to see him as Deathstroke in like a full-fledged movie.
Sure.
So I'm at least hoping for that out of all this.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise,
I'm also the superhero, nerd over here for movies compared to you two.
No, I am a superhero fan. Like we definitely are, but Justice League sucks. And by the time we got to Manganiello's Deathstroke at the end, I'm like, I don't care. Yeah. Just end this. End the movie already. I don't care. No one likes that Lex Luthor. Why are we shoehorning him into this movie too? And I don't know. I don't know what to think of this anymore. I think it's something that either Snyder willed into existence or the Snyder fanboys did. I think there's just so many things going on here that don't add up to make this an actual Snyder director's cut of the movie. So
yeah,
it's gonna be like when we got like Spider-Man was a 1.5 or 2.5 kind of thing, where it's just gonna be that. X-Men 1.5, that's what it should be. Zack Snyder's Justice League 2.567 or whatever. Probably just put pi at the end of it because it probably makes that
Justice
much
League pi.
Yeah. All right.
He would think he was so smart by doing that too, wouldn't he?
And then we'll show him this and be like, we saw it coming.
Justice League pi, bro.
Slow motion Justice League.
Okay. So can we get on a Zach Hateville because it's anyway.
It's not going to win you guys any patrons, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, we get a bunch of hate mail from all the Snyder boys. Screaming. All right, moving on.
It always existed.
I said we're moving on.
All right, let's move on to a
Sony. Sony likes to try to keep Tom Holland in their back pocket, and by that we have Tom Holland as Nathan Drake in Uncharted, and we finally got the first look of Nathan Drake. And I'm guessing at any point here, Casey never got a picture pulled up so we can actually.
I got it. It's right here.
Do it.
There he is.
Show us some Nathan Drake. There you go. He is. And I will say, just because it's not quick put in here, but because this also co-stars Mark Wahlberg, and as the character that he is, they were commenting about Mark Wahlberg's character because the character he plays has got a mean mustache, and Mark Wahlberg has gone on Instagram with said mean mustache, and it is kind of weird seeing Mark Wahlberg with that.
Do you have that, Casey?
I am going to find. Hey guys!
Instagram. It's on his Instagram.
I'm gonna find my mustache. All right. You don't need to worry about it.
So yes. So being that this is kind of a pseudo prequel for the sake of the Nathan Drake. I've never played the games in Uncharted because I've never had a PlayStation that they've been on. but that would say is there we go. I'm intrigued by this, but then again, it's a interesting story. Oh, you beat me to it there, Casey. Yes.
All right, Mark Freddie Mercury Wahlberg.
Yeah, go ahead and play that just so you can get
He's actually filming for a sequel to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
Go ahead and just hit play just so you can get that little play or get the little thing out of the way.
There he is.
And I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, we're lucky that it's on mute. That we're lucky it's on mute. But yes. You just want to have this just rolling constantly.
Yeah.
So what do you think in regards to this idea for the Uncharted film?
I didn't know Academy Award winner Rami Malek was in this movie, guys. But so first of all, I don't care about the Uncharted movie. I really don't. But I do care about Mark Wahlberg playing Freddie Mercury in an R-rated biopic. Because look at that. He looks more like Freddie Mercury than Rami Malek did.
Just they won't sound alike though. He'll be like, what? I got a disease. I don't know what to do.
Hey, he has a musical background. He has a musical background. He can do it.
That is Marky Mark.
The Funky Bunch could play the rest of Queen, obviously.
They sure could.
I want to know when people are going to show up and they're going to be like, I didn't know Freddie Mercury had a Boston accent.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so...
Uncharted is a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I've played maybe 10 minutes of this game, and I don't understand the hype for it. I really don't. We have never gotten a good video game movie, and I think people are still just clamoring for one. Like, just give us one. We need one good one. Mortal Kombat cannot be our number one forever. Yeah. This could be it. I mean, I don't see why not, but
we'll see.
I don't care enough to.
But yeah. I also kind of think sometimes that this is kind of like that little bit of nugget that Sony's using to keep Tom Holland in their pocket. As long as they kind of make him happy or whatever the case is, that we'll hopefully that he'll stay being his Spider-Man and that Marvel won't try to take it over or something.
Yeah, he's great. So I mean, for that, cool. But I don't know. Like the games are fun, but it's like, are they going to retell the games in movie form, or are they going to kind of come up with a new story? Or
this is my understanding. This is supposed to take place before the first game.
A prequel. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So I guess we shall move on. I guess just because of how we got this in order, we're going to go play in the superhero world again here, and that it looks like that Oscar Isaac is in talks to be cast as Moon Knight for the Marvel TV series that they announced last year's Comic-Con. I want to see anything that Oscar Isaac is in. I think he's a fantastic actor. I do think that he has some great stuff out there. I do think that he has been ill-used in other things as well. X-Men. That was a very bad use of his talent.
He was a great Ivan Ooze.
What?
That's who he's playing, right? The Power Rangers villain Ivan Ooze.
Yeah.
Right?
You got the purple Ranger.
Yeah.
The Thundercloud Ranger. The Winged
Ranger. X-Men Apocalypse. That
where he played Apocalypse and like his makeup alone in that movie is like, unless you could like make out like his jawline from like this part here, like it could have been anybody. And yeah, anyway, but otherwise, I mean, if this helps keep him in the Marvel Mouse house, that he's going to, I don't know, make more stuff with them, great. So far, when it comes to the Marvel stuff, myself personally, and it's the whole "In Feige We Trust," I have a lot of hopes with this, and I'm hoping that maybe this will give us what we want. He's going to get a proper superhero film and try to shed the monstrosity that is Apocalypse, maybe.
I have a little bit of a prediction, I guess, with this, because they've already announced their first wave of like these Marvel series. We're getting Falcon, Winter Soldier, Scarlet Witch, and Vision, and Loki. So those are the first group. I think this next group, because they have announced a couple more, we're gonna get to the darker stuff. I think in this next phase, we'll get Blade, Moon Knight. Maybe we'll get the rebooted version of like Daredevil. Like, I think we're going to head into the darker realm of Marvel stuff with that next group. And I think that's definitely where this should fit, because I never read Moon Knight. I know very little. From what I understand, he's probably the closest thing Marvel has to Batman.
Right.
Which sounds very, very cool. And especially to have someone like Oscar Isaac, he would honestly, if he was cast as Bruce Wayne, I'd be like, yeah, I'm in.
Yep.
Sure.
I would totally be okay with an Oscar Isaac Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think if this
he might just be too short for it.
Hey, Tom Hardy was Bane, so there's movie magic that can be had there. Yeah, I like the casting. I like Oscar Isaac. I like to see that he has not burned his bridges with Disney and their subsidiaries after his very
Star Wars thing.
Yeah, his very outspoken comments about Star Wars. So I'm glad to see he's still willing to work with them and work on a different project.
Yeah. Yeah, I would watch pretty much anything Oscar Isaac does. I'm not familiar with Moon Knight. Like, I know the character exists. I know what the character looks like, but it's not a comic that I ever read. But I would watch this whole series just based on the fact that Oscar Isaac rules. So yeah, I am in.
So far, Andy, I'd say we're 2 for 2 for the recently announced castings for these new shows with like no premise for both you and I.
Yeah, but with the She-Hulk thing, I heard that she say that she didn't actually sign on for it, so it's kind of like
I haven't heard, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I saw that a week. What was it? This week or last week or something? Yeah, that she has never confirmed it, and she said it's just a rumor.
Well, dang it, they need to fix that rumor.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that anymore.
Sign her up, because these two that would be perfect to have these actors in that world.
So, I mean, and if you were to get at some point where they cross paths, like Oscar Isaac and Tatiana, I think would be fantastic together on screen.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so moving on, and because we need more of this family in our lives on the screen, it looks like Tim Burton is in talks to produce an Addams Family TV show. And I'm sorry, the two people that are allowed to play Gomez are both dead, unfortunately, and this shouldn't happen.
We just talked about a guy that should play him again in live action.
Yeah, Oscar Isaac is Gomez.
Oscar Isaac should reprise his role in live action.
Yeah, that cast from the animated series or animated movie, just put them in a live action one.
Give them a good thing to do.
Yeah.
So you want Snoop Dogg to play Cousin It?
Well,
listen, that's different. No,
not gonna lie. I want to see that now. I want to see Snoop Dogg instead of like big red hair and whatnot. It's just a bunch of dreadlocks.
Yeah. Let's do it.
I think I would keep the two leads for sure. I would keep Oscar Isaac and Charlize Theron. Like, I think they would be perfect as live action versions of Gomez and Morticia. Yeah, I would recast the kids. I think the two actors.
Sure.
Finn Wolfhard is way too skinny to play the chubby kid Pugsley.
Yeah.
And Chloe Grace Moretz is too old now to play Wednesday. If she was Hit Girl age, then yes.
Sure.
Yes. Why has this not happened before?
Right.
This news here with Tim Burton going to be taking on an Addams Family TV show. And he's talked about it so many times, how Addams Family is like helped form him and his childhood and shape him into who he is. And it oozes on the screen in every Tim Burton movie up till like 2007.
Yeah.
So this just makes perfect sense. And for a guy like Tim Burton, who's been on a steady downward slope in the last bit of his career here, maybe this will revitalize him a little bit. Give him the spark where he's like, all right, this is a property I really, really care about.
Let's just remember the last time he got a hold of a TV series license and put that on the screen.
I give him a pass on that one, because that is a Johnny Depp thing. Dark Shadows was Johnny Depp's Addams Family, and he asked Tim to direct him in that movie.
What if?
I think Johnny Depp has a lot. He has a lot going on right now, Andy. He's not.
Okay, I hope so. Oh God,
Johnny Depp is Gomez.
He has a little bit of a legal battle going on. I don't think he's going to be acting in this.
Good.
Nor should he.
You know what? That may be the case, but who knows how long it's going to take for this to come to fruition? Who knows what's going to happen? Johnny Depp is Tim Burton's little muse there that we've got going on. So, I would not rule out that possibility.
So I do have a pitch of who should play these, just based on some of the previous Burton universe people.
Mm-hmm.
Sacha Baron Cohen could play Gomez.
Yeah, I would be okay with that.
Okay.
Are you going where I think you're going?
Eva Green needs to play Morticia. That's it.
Yep.
No one else can.
Yep.
Yes.
Danny DeVito should play Uncle Fester.
Yep.
And you find some kids all the kids that have been in previous Burton stuff are too old now. So I think that's definitely the ones you have to go with right now.
What about if we even got into stuff like oh my god, his name is escaping me. Big tall butler.
Lurch.
Thank you.
Andy should play him.
I'll play it.
You'll play Lurch?
Yeah, I'll play Lurch.
Yeah. I don't know if the actor is still alive. He was in Big Fish. He played the giant in Big Fish. I'm not sure if he
I think he's passed away.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say otherwise that would be the guy. That's probably the guy.
I will throw this out just because I literally just watched this movie a couple days ago for the very first time. But the guy that played the Grandpa Fick in Dr. Sleep.
Okay. Yeah.
That would be.
Oh yeah.
Because he straight up looks like Lurch from the show.
If it's who I'm thinking, he may have played Lurch in the other movie, in the movie version. Is it Carol Struyken?
I'm trying to figure that out. So, you guys
search for it.
Yeah, I'll let you. Yeah. So what do you guys think about this? Bert, I think we're all on the same page. Burton has been on downward slope for a while now. Do you think this could revitalize his career? Or give him a little spark in the last bit of...
So it's tricky because he's producing the show, which in some cases very, very hands-on. In other cases, it's just in name only. I think if he were to direct some of the episodes of this and really have a hand... What happened, Brian? What's going on? Saw that reaction.
Because the guy I'm thinking about that's in Dr. Sleep is the one that played Lurch in the Angelica Houston movies with.
So he would be perfect, right?
And he was also in the Tim Curry one then, because he's the only returning cast member.
Yeah.
Bring him back. Bring him back.
I'm sorry. If you really think about the original '60s version and then his version or whatnot, it's like you said. Like if you would have somebody there's only one person that could play that character, it would be him.
You know who you can have play Lurch? Have the guy who stepped in to play Chewbacca in the new Star Wars movies, Jonas. I can't remember what his last name is.
Yeah, but the dude's 12.
He's 30 something.
You can sign him. He's got to be on a TV series for multiple seasons, so you start him young.
Yeah.
You start them older so they don't age as much.
Make the Addams Family TV show Lurch's origin story.
10 out of 10 would watch.
Boom.
There it is.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Yeah. And again, my hopeful thinking with this whole situation with Burton, with the Addams Family, is maybe he can get back in good graces with everybody. Maybe let him direct the pilot, and everybody's like, oh, that's great. That's exactly what we need for the Addams Family. And he's getting back in good graces with people and the public. And then finally, when we get to do Keaton returning as Batman and a Batman Beyond movie, you give it to Burton. Like, all right, you go finish your trilogy. You guys started this. Let's finish it. Like that is my number one dream movie project ever, is Burton Keaton back doing Batman Beyond. So
Perfect.
I don't think it'll ever happen, but I can wish.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Should we move on?
I'm just thinking of all the things that Burton has said about his distaste for comic book movies. So I think your idea of that happening is going to be way down there.
Batman Beyond can go kooky as Burton wants to go. So I'm all for it. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's move on.
So about that coming soon.
Let's move on to coming soon for this week. Not as heavy as last week, but we do have one major new release for this upcoming weekend, which is The Craft Legacy, which is a sequel to the 1990s The Craft, which this movie will hit VOD October 28th. So, new Craft movie. What do you guys think? Brand new cast. We get a little hint of Fruza Bulk. Don't think any of them will actually be in the movie, but
considering the trailer uses an image from the movie,
a still from the movie,
uses a still to create the Polaroid. No, it's literally, I think they're just to attempt to tie so they could use the word The Craft, because you can pretty much insert any title to this, and it's just basically The Craft part. Again. As much as you guys were giving me crap the last time about, this movie was made for teenage girls at the time, I've always enjoyed the original movie, The Craft, and I don't know if this is completely necessary and whatnot. So,
I don't care. It's
it's not Criterion quality for Andy.
Well, of course not, but that's fine. I think that this is a series the first film at least is one that I like. I don't love it like a lot of other people do, but it's fine. I think they're going to recycle ideas, whenever they can. That's just kind of the world that we live in, and if they do a good job of this, awesome. Fantastic. That's great that people have something to enjoy. If not, the original still exists, so people can enjoy that too. It's one of those sequels that feels like it's a little late, but whatever. I mean, if they had an idea and think there's an audience for it, more power to them. I will wait to hear what other people think of it before I cast any kind of judgment on it.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. This is the bad straight to video version sequel of The Craft, and we're finally getting it almost 30 years later. Yeah. And I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. We should have gotten multiple bad sequels to the movie. It only took us 25 years to get it. So I will probably be checking this out. It's been a minute since I've watched the original Craft, so I'll probably do a Craft double feature while I'm doing Crafts. Maybe which or arts and crafts. I don't know.
I do think this
popsicle stick houses.
Yeah. You make the point about the age of the original one, and I do think that because there is an appreciation for the original. There are people that love the original, but I don't think there's enough of a fan base for the original to do this as a sequel, as opposed to they should have just basically said, we're making a new generation of The Craft and just be a remake as opposed to a sequel. They should have just redone it, because there's just not enough there, I think.
I'll disagree, because I don't like the straight reboot. I rather have the soft reboot, which this technically would be.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's a sequel, but we're also pretty much remaking the original.
Sure.
Which I'd rather have.
I guess we'll see.
All right, from one 90s classic horror movie to another. These are some of our re-releases coming out to theaters. First up, we do have Wes Craven's all-time classic horror film, Scream, coming back to Cinemark theaters October 30th through November 5th. So this meta horror film back on the big screen. Are you guys going to be checking this out?
I'm on the fence, and I say this because, number one, it's a busy weekend. It's Halloween weekend that's coming out, to see whether or not I'm going to find time for it. And two, I would like to go see this. If I were to go see this theater, I would like to go see the theater which I saw it originally at. But the theater I saw this originally at is currently a Kohl's building, so I can't do that.
Kohl's building? Oh no!
That Kohl's is the old Empire East movie theater.
Oh, man.
I mean, you could just put it on your phone and go sit in Kohl's for an hour and a half.
Can we turn the lights down over here? I'm trying to watch a movie.
I gotta try this shirt on for 2 hours. Let me just see if it fits perfectly. It needs to contour to my body.
It needs to contour. I would like to see this on the big screen again, though. It's a good, fun movie. It's definitely one of those movies that deserves a theater watch, especially if you've never seen it, because I think Casey was like 4 when this movie came out, and he obviously would never have had the opportunity. Hey, I gave you a couple years grace there, here, so give me, I keep forgetting what year you were born sometimes, but. Yes, yeah. You were Casey's like, of course I'm gonna go see this in theater. I never had the chance beforehand.
Yeah, I'm there. Scream is top 5. Scream is top 5 horror movies of all time for me. I love this movie. It's one of it's my favorite screenplay ever. I love every single ounce of Scream. So
it's your favorite Jamie Kennedy movie.
Is it? Yes, it is. Son of the Mask
is that Tremors
somewhere. He's horrible in Tremors. I'm all for this. I do love Scream.
Yeah, I love this movie. I probably won't be seeing it in theaters, but that's just because I'm not really seeing anything in theaters right now. Still kind of on that boat, but I love this movie, and I hope that people who feel comfortable going to the theaters, I really hope they eat this up while it's out there. I love this movie. It's great. Mm-hmm. But there's another one that is also being released this week.
And there it is, which is The Exorcist. One that will pull Andy maybe out of his house to go watch it.
Okay, if I had never seen this in theaters, I would absolutely go see it. Mm-hmm. And I've thought about it. I'm like, well, this is my opportunity to kind of go see it this Halloween this year, because I like to watch this movie every Halloween season, because this is just this is like not to me, this is not just the greatest horror movie ever made. Like, this is one of the greatest movies ever put on film. Like, I think The Exorcist is cinematic gold. It is genius. The things that it wrestles with are really fantastic. Like, the movie, to me, it's a great horror movie, but it's also a very relatable, like, crisis of faith, like, just put into kind of like probably the most extreme form of that. But it's like, this is about the hero of this movie is a priest who's wrestling with his faith the whole time. Like, how awesome of a character is that, to kind of have someone who's like, I have committed my life. I'm going to go off on a really deep tangent here. I'm sorry, but who's committed his life to like this really holy cause. But yet at the same time, he's like, what if this isn't like, what if there isn't anything out there? And he kind of wrestles with that the whole point or the whole time until it leads to, here's my proof right here. Like, this is it. I know that there's something there. The ultimate evil is out there. And if the ultimate evil is out there, there has to be the ultimate good too. And he is the humanity that makes that kind of wrestle, those forces wrestle in the end. I love this movie. I love this movie so much. So go see The Exorcist and then go see Scream.
I think Andy likes The Exorcist.
Yeah, it's the scariest movie ever made. Period. Yeah. Nothing else touches it. It is. Yeah. Like I can't even try to go after Andy's speech there on The Exorcist. It is that good.
At this point right now, you're just going to do like the girl does and just regurgitate what he said.
Yeah, I'm going to spew a bunch of pea soup out and grab a crucifix and do naughty things with it.
I mean, there's that stuff too, I guess.
There is that stuff. So this movie has literally everything you would want in a great horror movie. Yeah. And and it is the version the version you've never seen before, which is the director's cut.
Which is the version everybody's at this point has seen before.
Right. Which I do think is the superior version. It has maybe the scariest scene of all time involving a set of stairs. Yeah. Which still sends shivers down my spine. So this is an all-timer.
Like, it's crazy to me because there's a wide list of like director's cut and special edition releases that are kind of like you watch them and they're like, I still like the theatrical version better. This one really, his Friedkin's kind of ability to go back and finish this movie the way that he wanted to has really made it an even better movie just by adding that one sequence that is just utterly terrifying. So, yeah, this is a director's cut that actually improves the film. So,
all right, next up, which is an odd one to add into this little bunch here, which is Alita Battle Angel, which hits theaters nationwide starting October 30th. You know, this all-time Halloween classic, Alita Battle Angel, back on the big screen.
Stop shaking your head there, Andy.
Hold on. I feel called out here. The thing is I like this movie. I think Alita Battle Angel's fun.
I think it's a very fun movie.
But man, like the crazy internet like swell around this movie is ridiculous. Like this is like Snyder cut levels of insanity. So
you are correct.
Like I don't get it. I think it's fine. Like I think it's fun. I think the chemistry between the two leads, she's awesome. That kid, whoever the guy is, put him back. Like let him go back to acting school for 4 years so that he can figure things out a little bit. Because good God. But
we have advantage that if we ever do see a sequel to this, he's not coming back.
Hallelujah. Since to continue my Exorcist thought, how can there not be a God if he doesn't get hired again? So
yeah, I've not seen this movie, so I don't have an opinion on Alita.
I have a feeling that I would know which way it would lean, but that's just because you're cynical.
I'm not. Well, a little bit, but yeah.
But I would say if you check it out and just kind of go into the mind, or you go in with the mind frame that it's a movie that's just for fun, that way you don't really put too much thought in some of the stuff that they're trying to get across. All of the action sequences are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Once they go to plot, check out. Just let your brain shut off and be like, whatever. Next, give me the next action scene.
Mm-hmm.
All right, last one that we got up here for coming soon. Again, an odd one to throw in here, but it does start this November. Apollo 13 back in theaters, 2 nights only, November 1st and 2nd. So this is I believe it is a Fathom event screening of Apollo 13 back on the big screen. Yeah. I think this is pretty exciting. I've never seen the movie on the big screen, so this might be one to definitely venture out and check out. This Ron Howard, Tom Hanks.
I will tell you, I remember seeing this in the theater when it came out, when I was a kid, and I can tell you I fell asleep during this movie, and I did see this movie from beginning and end until home video. And that's not to take away that it's a bad movie. By a far, it's a fantastic movie. I don't not know why I fell asleep. I don't know if I was just sleep deprived or whatever the case is. I just remember not finishing the movie in the theater. And it's like the only time I've ever fallen asleep to a movie in the theater, which you would think a space movie with their potential like loud bang, stuff like that would be. But yeah, it wasn't until home video I actually got to watch this from beginning to end because I just remember just falling asleep.
I love this movie. I was an Apollo 13 stan. This was like the year that this came out and was nominated at the Oscars. It was beat out by Braveheart, and I was furious because I was Apollo 13 all the way. And like I got made fun of by my friends because they were like, aha, Braveheart won and Apollo 13 didn't. I'm like, shut up. You know, I was like, I think of a freshman in high school at that time or something. But yeah, I loved Apollo 13, saw it in theaters, just thought it was incredible. But I'm also a huge Tom Hanks fan, Bill Paxton, Gary Sinise, Kevin Bacon,
just like it's got a great cast.
Yeah, like it's just a fantastic cast. So
I'm surprised. I'm surprised you weren't like championing for best supporting actor to Clint Howard.
Well, you know, he'll find his role one of these days.
Oh yeah, it'll probably be in the upcoming Willow thing with Ron Howard.
He's the best supporting actor in our hearts always.
That's right.
Yes.
Ice Cream.
Ice Cream Man is a great Clint Howard. Yeah, so that's Apollo 13. Check it out November 1st and 2nd on the big screen. But yeah, that is it for coming soon. Please go check out backlot605.com. We have an article up there every single week written by our contributing writer, Mr. Derek Vierink. He does an awesome job with that. And there's plenty more new release titles that are going to be hitting VOD in theaters. So please go check out the full article there. But let's take a little break here, and we'll come back. And we'll come back from hell, if you will, with leather and some chains bound to us as we talk some Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Hello, listeners. Are you craving even more movie content? Head on over to our horror theme show, Slashlat 605, which is hosted by Sam Lenz, Blake Ginnathan, and myself, Casey Calderman. That is where we break down our favorite films in the horror genre and everything else that is related to the genre that us horror nerds love so much. Podcast is available right now on Anchor.fm, Apple, Google, and YouTube. We will see you there.
Ooh.
I think we left Brian in hell. He will have to solve the puzzle box to get back on the show.
Oh no! If
no.
not, he's going to be just a lump of flesh underneath the floorboards.
Help me!
Oh no! I'm getting lit up over here.
Brian, Pinhead's getting your green screen.
Pinhead. There we go. No, I was trying to take the 30 seconds to take care of the halflings, and well, y'all.
I think I need to make our breaks a little longer than 30 seconds, so we have enough time between
just
them.
Another commercial. Promo.
Maybe a fat dude commercial we'll throw in there.
You know what? I can come up with something.
Let's do it.
I can come up with something.
Do it. All right. Anyway, we are back here talking some Hellraiser 1987, written, directed by our star for this month, our spotlight creator, Clive Barker. So Clive Barker's Hellraiser, based on the Hellbound Heart, which was I believe it was a short story written by Barker himself, and then later adapted to the big screen by Barker after the unfortunate nature that was Rawhead Rex, which me and Brian discussed on this week's Patreon episode.
I guess we would call that a discussion.
You guys discussed it. There was a discussion there, and I would absolutely show up to a screening of Rawhead Rex.
Hell yes.
Yeah, bad movie, good movie. You guys throw something together, I'm there.
Oh my god, it'd be an uproarious film to watch on the big screen, Rawhead Rex. So if you want to hear our full thoughts, go head on over to our Patreon, join the $5 tier, and check it out. But this is it. This is the last movie in the Clive Barker miniseries, Hellraiser. I think definitely, like I said at the top of the show, saving the best for last, the biggest Barker attached film project that he has ever had. Hellraiser. We have 75 sequels to this movie, but we are going to just be focusing on this 1987 original. So
I made it through the Barker series.
You did, and I am very curious to hear about this one, because the one I was like, yeah, Brian's going to dig that one the most is the one you have not liked. I'm like, shit, what's he going to think of Hellraiser?
Yeah. Which one was that, Brian? Which one did you not like? Or okay, that's probably not the right question. You probably, from what I understand, you don't really like any of them.
No, I didn't say that. No,
okay.
I didn't say that. However, I think part of it is because Casey's giving me crap about my response to Candyman.
Yep, I remember. You didn't like this. What?
No, okay. If I was to rank what the movies that we have seen here, it would not be at the top of the list of which ones we have seen so far.
Would it be at the bottom?
God, no. We had to watch Rawhead Rex for Patreon.
I mean, of the four that we've talked about. Obviously, Rawhead Rex is the last one. I even put that one last.
Yes, it would be, actually.
All right, that at least means you liked Hellraiser a little bit. So, Andy, this is like we said at the top. This is one of your favorite horror movies. This is definitely one that you've pushed for. And when we said we're doing a Barker series, you're like, "Yep, Hellraiser, please give me Hellraiser."
We hadn't even locked in what movies we were doing, and you're just like, "You're doing Hellraiser, I'm going to be there."
Hellraiser.
Give me it. So what is it about Hellraiser for you that really made you want to come on talk about it? What is it about this movie?
It's so crazy because the iconography around this movie is the Cenobites. Like, they are what people remember from this movie, and of course, as the franchise goes on, you see more and more of them. Mm-hmm. But in this movie, they are really just pushed off, like, into the very, very background of the story. And this is more of a, well, I'm going to say this, but it's like, it's not human. This is mostly a human horror story, even though it deals with like
the supernatural.
Yeah, the supernatural and like the resurrection of this character. But it's like, you have this couple who on the surface seems like everything's super happy. Like, when we first meet this married couple, you're like, oh, they're great. They love each other. They're getting a new house. This is perfect. As the story unfolds, we come to find that she has had an affair with the guy's brother. So ultimately, right there, it's like the perfect stuff out of a soap opera. Like, and I'm as an 80s kid, I grew up watching soap operas. Like, if I stayed home sick from school one day, there would be soap operas on the TV. So I'd be like, ooh, Days of Our Lives. Because that's what this is. This is Days of Our Lives type stuff.
That explains why his name is Frank.
Right? Just Frank. But
Frank.
All of this is happening, like, we come to find that there are supernatural forces at work here. Like, Frank is consumed with pleasures of the flesh. And so he gets finds this puzzle box and wants to configure it. Well, he screws up, and these people teach him the greatest
these S&M demons from hell.
Yeah, these S&M demons from hell basically allow him to experience the greatest pleasure and the greatest pain all at the same time, and it just like destroys him. Like, I think the only way to describe it is with the sound effect of like. But yeah, then he's resurrected through blood, and like, it is just madness, just absolute madness. And then we get those characters that are kind of the gatekeepers of this other realm of, kind of. Whoa, did you hear that? Kind of the gatekeepers that are like these just, they are also experiencing the ultimate pleasure and ultimate pain because they are put through, you've got the Chomper, you've got the lady Cenobite, you got the fat guy, and then you've got Pinhead, who has all of the needles shoved into his head. Like, this is just a bizarro, like, crazy hellscape. And I've always been kind of like a straight-laced kid. Like, I've always been like, pretty well-behaved, well-mannered, polite, friendly, all the stuff like that. But some of the movies that resonate a little bit more with me are these crazy effed up stories, like the Hellraiser movies, Serbian film, like just these crazy, bizarre, disgusting movies. And I think it's just because it's like, how dark are we willing to go? Like, how dark can our psyche get? And are we able to kind of allow ourselves to see what that darkness is without actually going there ourselves? And I think maybe for me, that's why I like the Hellraiser movies so much, because I don't ever want to participate in any of this shit. Like, I am not going to worship a devil or any kind of evil being. I am not. If I find a puzzle box, y'all can keep it. If I die, just let me Just let me go. Like I don't want
first person to find a puzzle box sends it to Andy as an anonymous gift.
I will drop kick that thing into the ocean, or like I'll take a plane somewhere just so I can do that. But yeah, like I think for me, I like it because it's so dark. Like I want to go there without ever actually going there. And this is kind of a peek into somebody's psyche that also wants to go to a dark place and create, creativity. So yeah, I love it because it's so twisted and such a supernatural twist on a human drama.
I also want to say a supernatural twist on the sexualization of like the leather, the BDSM, all that. Like I picture like people watching this movie going, "Okay, I could wear that."
Yeah. I think they could. No, I'm not.
All of a sudden, Andy, next episode, check out my leather vest.
Yeah, it's like, hey guys, how do you like it?
I got something to tell you guys.
Not gotta keep a PG-13.
You gotta. Even though we're talking about Hellraiser, one of the most grotesque movies ever put on screen,
Right.
Yeah, I so the first time I watched this movie, this was back in I don't know, late high school, early college, when I was really getting into horror movies, watching the Freddys, the Jasons, the Michaels, getting into the franchise stuff.
He's finding those dark places on the internet too, Andy.
Yeah, I found them. I ordered a puzzle box and I tried to solve it. Didn't work out, but that's a story for a different time. But obviously, the next logical step after those was Hellraiser, because Pinhead is often lumped in with those guys, and I don't think he should be, because that is not that. Hellraiser is not those movies.
Yeah,
Hellraiser 3 probably leans a little more into the Freddys, the Michaels, the Jasons, but Hellraiser 1 and 2 to an extent do not. And Pinhead, for being the iconic character from this movie, the guy that's on the cover of every version of Hellraiser, is like the 5th or 6th most important character in this movie.
Yeah.
And so the most important characters are 4 human characters we follow. So now watching it, so the first time I watched it, I didn't love it because it was not a slasher movie.
Yeah.
And I appreciated it for all the practical effects that the movie had. But I didn't really find a great appreciation for this movie until watching it this time around with a new lens, going in saying that this is not a slasher movie, going in now with a Barker mindset of what he was going for during this time, especially. Like, this is a fantastic film, and like Andy said, it's a character drama, it's a family drama, it's a soap opera, but with a puzzle box and demons from hell that will tear your body apart, because you're going to the most outer reaches of pleasure and pain all at once, and your skin is ripped from your entire body. You reform your body through blood. Like, there is so much going on in this movie, and I think it's a tremendous work of horror fiction. One of the most influential and one of the hardest to replicate ever again on the big screen is something like Hellraiser, and they've tried, obviously.
17 times?
Yeah, like eight other times, I think. 9. Yeah, I think there's 10, maybe 10 Hellraiser movies. I don't know. There's a lot, too many, but none of them can ever replicate this movie here. So, Brian, this was your first time watching.
This was my first time, and for once, I was actually kind of like ahead of the curve. I've been done watching my Clive Barker movies for like 2 weeks now. So part of me is like, okay, what did I remember? Like, you make mention about the point I made across about Candyman, and that it was slow, and there's just the stuff that just wasn't happening for my own personal taste and what I want to see in a horror movie. This basically right out of the gate, first 15 minutes, you've already basically, Frank is destroyed, blood, pieces, things like that. When I'm like, okay, this is already starting better than Candyman did. So it definitely has that going for it. At least with the sake of the Hellraiser movies, even though I had never seen any of them, Pinhead is definitely one of those ones. Everybody, if you don't know who Pinhead is, you don't watch those kind of movies, period. That'd be like who's Freddy and who's Jason kind of thing. I do have to agree, it is not in the same reflection of Freddy and Jason and Michael than it would be, just a horror movie that has the backsplash that it has. But overall, I really did enjoy the movie. I enjoyed it better than I did Candyman because the fact that we got straight to the point, and because when I go into a horror movie, like for me, the expectation is that I want it to get going now. We had that bit right at the very beginning. Then we go into the family stuff. I agree. It is very much soap opera-ish, the family drama kind of thing before we see the new version of Frank. That leans back into the horror and the body horror and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I really enjoyed having the opportunity to finally sit down and actually be able to watch this movie.
Good. I'm glad. Like I was really scared because knowing how you went
because how I went into Candyman.
Because how you went into Candyman, and I was expecting you to go in the same way with Hellraiser, expecting it to be a hack and slash slasher movie, which this movie is not. So I'm glad you got into it right away, which is great. Well, that's like you have to be in it right away when you see Frank with the puzzle box in the room with the candles around him, and then the Cenobites show up. Like the movie starts off within the first 5 minutes, Frank is torn apart into pieces.
Yeah,
which is definitely one of the things that I enjoyed about it, like say over the sake of Candyman, but at the same time too, like I view Candyman more in line of like your Freddy and your Jason more than I do Pinhead. Like again, even though I had never seen Hellraiser, I'd always known that this is more of a spiritual horror movie that would almost be more closer tied to like your Conjurings and your Paranormal Activity and stuff like that, more of the ghost aspect side of things, the spiritual side of things, more than a hack and slash. So I kind of went into it with that kind of aspect too.
Yeah. I don't know the connection, but I get it.
Yeah, because it's alternate world. They're coming from a different place where,
But he's not a ghost. He's not even from hell. Technically, he's from.
Then why is he a Hellraiser?
That's just the title of the movie. It's how it's how you can't sell the movie.
Now you're just ruining it for me. Now I'm just gonna have to take it down a notch here.
Actually, I'll let you guys talk. I need to pull up the original title Barker wanted to call this movie. It's pretty wild.
Pinhead Lives.
No, I got to find it here. Give me a second. Right here.
Puzzle boxes are us.
Sadomasochist from Beyond the Grave.
Oh,
was the original title Barker wanted to go with.
Yeah, that would have sold tickets.
That's perfect. That's a perfect title.
That is technically what the movie is about.
Yeah, absolutely.
It fits it more than Hellraiser, but this I think this is such a tremendous movie, and I mean one of the biggest parts of it is the performances in this movie are fantastic. I think all around the four human characters that we follow are really great. Claire Higgins as Julia is one of the best horror villains that no one ever talks about.
Yeah,
I think she is tremendous in this movie. And then I think her counterpart Andrew Robinson is a great like suburban dad. Like he fits that mold perfectly.
Yeah. I think the thing that makes Julia stand out so much is that yes, she is a villain, but at the same time, like she's kind of doing this all for love, which really, I mean, that's the ultimate good.
A very toxic, one-sided version.
Absolutely.
Of that.
Yeah. It's terrible.
But she loves him.
Oh yeah, she wants to bring him back to life so that they can live out their romance and get away from it all. Well, unfortunately, now that Frank is the undead, kind of like you're never gonna get that life, Julia. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think, and yeah, the Frank in this movie is such an interesting character to look at. One, visually, he's very interesting to look at, and I love his transformation. Like the iconic scene of his body reforming, and then like from his like waist up, it's just him like screaming in the sunlight in that empty room. Like it's fantastic practical effects, and then his transformation, like adding flesh onto his body and bones onto his body. It's a great little transformation.
I always, and this is something, that when you're trying to bring something back, and I know that's something a lot they use like in the 80s and 90s and whatnot, but like filming everything and then playing it in reverse. Like you just watch some of that stuff. And sometimes for me, that takes me out of it a little bit, but I understand though too, that it's like, okay, that's the only way they can pull off that trick then. But that was some of the stuff that when he's coming up and you're just watching the reverse film kind of thing and whatnot, it's a little weird. You have to admit, it's a little weird.
It's cool.
Yeah, I was going to say it's really cool. It's that or Zemeckis is The Witches, and I will take this over that.
Yeah.
And that's something I think is definitely missing in modern movies is practical effects like this. Like, keep doing that. This movie is from 1987. I think every effect pretty much, well, besides the final effect of the Cenobites, disappearing, which was a relic of the times. It's charming now. I think all the
charming is a word.
And I don't necessarily love the design of the engineer, but still, big props to a puppet kind of creature like amidst these really hellish and garish, I don't know, guardians of pain and pleasure.
Well, I do appreciate that you're talking about that like worm creature that's chasing Kirsty through like
that tunnel.
That tunnel. He's a very phallic looking creature too, which I totally like because that's such a Clive Barker thing to throw in this.
Yeah.
That's what Rawhead Rex's head should have looked like with that creature.
I will tell you, Casey, that I don't know if you remember, but shortly after I got done watching this, that guy, that worm-looking thing going down the tunnel, I sent you a message. I said, don't let me forget about that, because that was probably one of the funniest things that I found about that movie. And it wasn't because I thought he was phallic looking, as you so put it, or anything like that, but it was the use of the practical effects and the fact that we don't go back and clean up some of that stuff because obviously for budget or whatever the case is. But the very first shot of them going down that tunnel, you could see the dolly and the dude's foot that's pushing that thing down the tunnel.
It's just the demon behind him. Come on. It's the demon cart he's pushing.
And I just sat there and I'm like, okay, I understand it. It's for its time, whatever the case is. I'm like, you can clearly see this thing.
You gotta forgive stuff like that.
If stuff like that shows up in movies, I find it even more charming. It just adds to movie magic for me.
Which I do completely agree with it. That's why I laughed at it as opposed to going, really?
Yeah.
They really no. I chuckled. I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, okay, this makes this movie that much more fun that for all I know that they purposely left it in there going, let's see if anybody notices.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I want to talk about the other character we have only briefly mentioned, and we're talking about her in this tunnel scene is Kirsty. I think I failed by not thinking of this when we back on the Killer Countdown we did a Final Girls episode, and I didn't even think to put Kirsty on this. And I'm now watching this movie, I'm like, yeah, she should have been on there, and she is definitely one of the best Final Girls ever. I think she is, and Ashley Lawrence is fantastic.
Great
in this movie,
just great, and like it's tough to kind of like talk about this one and not talk about any of the others, because that's kind of where the Pinhead thing blows up into something else is in the rest of the series, and that's how we kind of think about it. But she is great in this, but she also commands the sequel, Hellraiser 2, like she is just fantastic as the teenager in peril and the hero of the story, the final girl. And yeah, I think she's great. And I don't think it really I don't think I even thought about her when you guys did that episode until I rewatched this, and I was like, oh my God, like she's fantastic in this. She is it's unfortunate that she gets forgotten amongst all of the other stuff that happens in this movie, because she's great. And yeah, Ashley Lawrence is just wonderful. So
yeah, and like you said, it is hard to talk about, especially with characters that pop up in the sequels, especially her. Like 2 is her movie. Yeah. She's the main character of 2. Her and another younger girl are like the 2 leads we're following throughout that movie, and we get to see more of the Cenobites and more of Julia in that movie too. But she's definitely the focal point of that, and I think she is a perfect character to in this movie as well, because I did some. I've never read The Hellbound Heart.
Yeah,
but I did some research. What's the difference between Hellraiser, Hellbound Heart? And it's kind of interesting to look at, especially since Barker is the creative mind behind both. Because in the original short story by Barker, Kirsty is just a friend.
Okay.
Of Larry.
Oh, all right.
That's not her dad. She's just a friend, and she's kind of looking out for her friend throughout this movie. But apparently, one of the big reasons Barker changed the 2 was for the line at the end of the movie where she figures out that, spoiler alert, Frank has put on the skin of her dad and says, "Come to daddy." That's the line where he's like, well, that's gonna be super powerful if I make her the daughter, and she figures it out because of that line.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great change to make. That is definitely the right step to take. And yeah,
I mean, as for someone who, obviously I've never read the story, and obviously this is the first time I've watched the movie, the dynamic of those 2 in the movie don't seem forced, so it seems like it worked. It meshes well for the sake of the story.
Yeah, and I think he made the right choice, because it gives the audience more of a personal connection to that. It's the story of a father and a daughter that their lives have been completely upended because of, well, ended in Larry's case, but just completely changed by this terrible occurrence. And I think that's kind of what you latch onto. That adds to the human drama of the story, that you've got this father and daughter story as well.
You can't have a soap opera without family drama.
It's true. I've watched them.
This definitely has that. The only other thing I really have to bring up is the Cenobites, because we had to talk about them. That's the iconic image that everybody thinks of. But maybe I have a hot take on this. Pinhead is not my favorite Cenobite. Chatterer is my favorite Cenobite.
Yeah. Yep.
I think he is the coolest looking of them all, and the scariest of them all too. Just the fact that his mouth is always open and agape, and his teeth are just constantly moving. I'm like, oh my God, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
That man needs to go to a dentist.
Or needs like some kind of like Adderall or something, just to kind of soften him up a little bit, ruin that edge that he's got.
A little bit.
Yeah. I agree with you. Like I love Pinhead. I think that character design is just classic, just very, very cool. And I think Doug Bradley is awesome. But yeah, like the side Cenobites, the other ones that didn't quite rise to prominence as much as Pinhead did. Yeah, the Chatterer is awesome. The lady Cenobite, she is wicked as well. Like, and then I don't know, I can't remember what they call the chubby one other than the chubby one.
Yeah, I'm like, they all have names. I don't remember what he was called.
Yeah. But yeah, they're awesome. Like they're just awesome character. Like it's great character design. And that's one of the things that I think Clive Barker does so well, is that his kind of outlandish characters, his villains, or misunderstood characters. Because Candyman is a villain, but he's another one that it's kind of like, he had some stuff happen to him, so he's coming back to get revenge. But I think the design of these characters is super cool, and these ones, no doubt, like he just really put so much into these helping get these characters. I think, you know, he had a written illustration of them first, and then kind of bringing them to life. Like, it's iconic. Like, they're just really, really cool looking.
Yeah, it really feels like another Barker movie that we talked about, Nightbreed, and he showed like when they were in the underground world of the Nightbreed, like showing off all the side characters. It's like, well, now he kind of has brought them to the forefront, and I think that's definitely Nightbreed and Hellraiser are you know, brothers in arms very much. It's just one took off, the other unfortunately did not.
Right.
And again,
I was going to go ahead. I'm sorry.
And again, and I think it's more of Nightbreed only has one movie. Hellraiser has 37.
Good guy.
So in a row.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it almost feels like Nightbreed has like 37 versions of it. So
you're not wrong.
And I think that's another reason why that never took off and it's still in the cult status is, well, what version do I watch of it? What's the version I need to watch? And Hellraiser, it's Hellraiser. That's Barker's director's cut. That's it. That's the movie.
Yeah, I've got to go back and listen to your Nightbreed episode and rewatch that movie, because I know Corey loves it, and I've only seen Nightbreed once, and
how long ago? Like long ago? That was before we got the director's cut.
Like, no, I saw it like a year or two ago, so it's but I think I don't remember which version I saw, and it didn't really resonate with me, but I will give it another shake, and especially just listening probably to how enthusiastic Corey was about it.
I'm waiting for Corey to come back to town so I can get a hold of this Cabal cut. So I want to watch that version of it, because I remember growing up with the theatrical one, watching it for the episode and seeing things that I knew that I'd never seen before, and I'm like, okay, well, if something else is different, Corey's gonna tell me.
I think you're absolutely right. I think this world that Barker creates, and the Nightbreed world that Barker creates, he really gets to just play around with as bizarre and oddball looking characters as he wants to make. So I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think what last week's episode Andy Grody said was, like, all the Barker movies could technically take place in a Barker universe. And I think Hellraiser is kind of the center of that, where Nightbreed, you can see where it could go on to that. You can see where Midnight Meat Train, you can see where Candyman could fit in here somewhere. Like, I think there could definitely, and I know they have crossed over a bit in like the comic books and stuff, but I would love to see a live action
crossover in the comic books.
Well, I know, but again, we've had crossovers in comic books that have led to crossovers in movies, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Batman, Alien versus Predator. Let's get Hellraiser and Nightbreed and Candyman on the big screen together. Let's get them all up there. Like, I think we're ready for a new era of Barker stuff going forward. Unfortunately, Books of Blood was not that, but maybe this Hellraiser reboot that they're working on will be. I don't know.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, Casey, just kind of, I don't know where we're at in this conversation on Hellraiser, if you've got more that you want to talk about, but I want to sidetrack off here for a second. So I kind of have heard your basic thoughts within our group chat, but what did you think? Did Brian watch Books of Blood as well? Did you both watch that?
I have not watched Books of Blood yet.
Okay. Was it really that bad?
Oh, it's horrible. It's not a good movie. It's not as bad as The Witches. It is definitely one of the worst movies I've seen this year, though. It has none of the edge of what makes Clive Barker.
Yeah.
So it's a very, I think it is rated R, but it's very toned down rated R. Cuts out pretty much all the gore, the sexuality, all of that's engrossed in Clive Barker. Part of his entire being is just missing from the movie. And it basically, what I thought it was going to be going in, and was an adaptation of certain short stories from the Books of Blood. No, this is like an adaptation of just the first short story, Books of Blood, which has nothing to do with that short story except for 5 minutes in the movie.
Disappointing.
It was very disappointing. And again, I was hoping, like, all right, we're getting this Nightbreed TV series, Books of Blood can maybe be this anthology of all the Books of Blood short stories. We're getting a Hellraiser. Candyman's coming out next year. Like, we have Barker stuff in the pipeline, and then unfortunately, I don't know about the Nightbreed series, if that's still going to happen. Books of Blood was a swing and a miss. Candyman is still sitting on the shelf. Hellraiser's in hell, development hell. So who knows what's going on with that? So yeah, that's again with this little series that we're doing. I'm hoping it brings a little prominence to Barker, showing like this guy is a guy we need in our fiction, in our world to create this crazy fiction, because no one else can do it. And I just want someone to try to capture that on the big screen again.
Yeah, and I think it's not. Okay, so I don't think I'm the best well-versed person to really say anything about this, but I do think that Clive Barker's sexuality really plays a huge part in his kind of foundation for these stories. Like, I think there is so much like. There's a sense of homoeroticism in the Hellraiser movies, especially. Like, there's a sense of just raw kind of sexuality anyway, like the relationship between Julie and Frank. Like, there's a very passionate sexual relationship there. But I think, part of his kind of dabbling in maybe S&M circles and just kind of his own
personal
homosexual
life.
Yeah, I think there's so much of that, and to kind of rob the sex from anything that he's written, or even the violence from anything that he's written, it really disassociates him from that work. So man, that's really, really frustrating to hear, because I feel like he is I feel like, just from what I know and what my experience with Barker and people who are big fans of Barker, he's kind of an icon in the gay horror community, because he's not afraid to let that out, like to let that part of himself be shown, and to
quote unquote lets the freak flag fly.
Yeah, and to whitewash that, man, that's too bad. That's really, really too bad.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's a case where you need to get the right creative minds behind this, because Barker, I don't think, has any interest in coming back to do films anymore. I think he's never thought of himself as a filmmaker, period. He did Hellraiser because he saw what happened with Rawhead Rex.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, can't let that happen again. I'll do it myself. It is a case of like, let's get some, like, let's let some gay directors step in there. Let's let some creative minds that have not had a chance yet to really spread their wings and tell a story like only they could. Like, only Barker could tell his story his way. Let this creative mind tell it their way. Take the DNA of what made the Barker source material, that add your twist to it and give it to the world. Like, don't be pigeonholed by what studio notes, or we need to hold on to the rights of Hellraiser. Let them create something truly magical. And I think Hellraiser would be the perfect one to start with, because if you release another Hellraiser movie in the theaters, you're going to get butts and seats.
Oh yeah,
because it'd be the first one since, I think, Hellraiser 4 was the last one in theaters. That was early 90s. So yeah. Let Doug Bradley have another shot to get some butts and seats that way. That's fine with me. But again, let a young creative mind take over some of these franchises and give it new life.
Give it to your Flanagan.
See, I don't even know if Flanagan's the right guy to take on this.
Yeah,
as much as you like to give him praise and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, who, if you were to give it to anybody, who do you think would be like, okay, this is who right now, Mr. I'm the horror guy in the room here, is that this is who needs to be doing a Hellraiser movie?
Oh my gosh! All right, let me think for 1 second.
I need to put you on the spot here.
That's fine. I'll kind of go into why Flanagan's not the right guy. Flanagan is my favorite director working today, period. But again, his work leans more towards a different horror author icon, Stephen King. He fits King. Him and King are like one and the same in many ways. Mm-hmm. their minds work and the stories that they like to tell together. Yeah, but the one, okay, I'm kind of coming across some here. Oh my gosh. I would maybe go with Barry Jenkins would be a good one to give him a chance with a Barker source material. Maybe not a Hellraiser movie, but yeah, give him a shot. Yeah, I don't know. Andy, do you have any other ones while I try to stop rambling and think of something?
So I did a little bit of digging, because I think that honestly, I think that to really get the best out of the Hellraiser franchise, I think you're right. I think you kind of need a gay director who really is willing to go there and not be afraid, and not make it so it's like a caricature of like what we perceive a kind of a gay S&M lifestyle to be. So I have two thoughts on this, and one I might get shouted down on, but as someone who absolutely loved 2018's Suspiria remake, if you give Luca Guadagnino this, like, and just let him be like how messed up, if he wants to go messed up, like, because Suspiria it gets a little messed up there near the end. If he's able to do that full force throughout the whole thing, like, and take these characters to that place, I think you could get something special. Or I don't know the background behind the director of, it's kind of a giallo influenced film from a couple years ago called Knife Plus Heart. But I think that director, Jan Gonzalez, could really make it something visually interesting to look at too. So those are my two thoughts as to who I think could really tackle a Hellraiser franchise and make it interesting.
Yeah, I was just going to say Luca would probably be one that I would throw in the hat as a possible contender for adapting it, like especially Hellraiser. I think he would fit that perfectly. The other one I would throw out, Karen Kusama.
Yeah.
Because I think she could hit some of the from a female perspective, hit some of those big themes of Barker's work. Give her, like, let her do. Just, I don't know. I don't know enough of the other adaptations that we have not touched yet. So let her do some of those. I think that would be very interesting. I mean, going from like Jennifer's Body to The Invitation, and she's working on, I think she's working on a Dracula or Frankenstein film. I think she's working on Dracula for Universal right now. So
that'll be cool.
Yeah, I think that would be a great name to throw in there.
Yeah, that's a good call. Good call.
Yeah.
So where would you want to see Clive go and basically rewrite his movie and bring it to a fresh audience, or do you want somebody to come in to adapt Clive?
I want Clive on as an executive producer, giving oversight to what the director's vision is, and I think Barker would definitely do that. I think he would give his pointers here and there and say, "This is what I would do this, but it's your movie," type of thing, and give them insights of what he was thinking of when he wrote the short stories, first of all, or the novels. Mm-hmm. But I think give it to the director. Let the director take control of the source material, but Barker should be attached in some fashion.
You know, one thing that
not just in name either, though. I want him there on set for these two.
Well, and one thing that I was just thinking about here is you think about some of these other movies in terms of like the horror villains and stuff like that. Like, you know, when like Nightmare on Elm Street, you know, it says, you know, Wes Craven's and stuff like that. John Carpenter's The Thing, or whatever the case is. But we really don't get that with Clive Barker. Like, it would be nice to say, it's like, yeah, if you got him on set, you know, because I even think of it like when Robert Rodriguez did Sin City. He's like, yes, I'm making this movie, but Frank is involved. Frank will be always involved it'd be like Clive Barker's Hellraiser.
Yeah.
You know? And to actually be able to get his name on there and say, hey, this is, I'm making my movie, but this is basically his stamp of approval that he's putting his name on it to say, yes, this is Clive Barker's Hellraiser.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if we got a director that stepped in and said, like, as much as I'm going to do this, I want Clive right next to me this entire time, and gives him like the Frank Miller like co-director seat. I think that would, at that point, if they announced that and said, I'm only doing it if I can do that, it's like, well, that's your person to make the movie then. if they're that dedicated to have Barker a part of this, then yeah, that's the person you need to have.
Yeah. They end up denouncing themselves from the DGA just so that they can have that happen.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'd be
Fight
for it. I'd be for it.
Because that's what happened with Robert Rodriguez. In order to be able to get the co-director for Frank Miller, he had to relinquish his DGA because they wouldn't allow for it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap up our Hellraiser conversation here. You guys have any other final thoughts? Anything else you would like to say about Hellraiser?
Not about Hellraiser, but I do have something I at least want to throw out there when you were talking about, crossovers for the sake of, people crossing over there. And I would like to see them cross this one over.
Listen,
a little Batman alien crossover. Come on,
I'm for it. I'm for it.
Sure, but how do you clearly in this series, Batman still ends up on top. But I mean, realistically, depending, I guess, on how many aliens he's up against, unless he has a space. This is a conversation for a different day.
We'll do a crossover. We need to do a versus miniseries. That would.
I couldn't help it. You're talking about oh yeah, if we do this, we do this. I was like, oh yeah, I'll show you one that Batman's gone to in the comics. It's never going to hit the theater.
I'd watch an animated movie of it though. So.
Oh yeah.
Warner Brothers, give us that. Give us that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I don't have anything else to add. I really love this movie. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Probably, I think it's probably in my top 10. Probably it might be in my top. Might be in my top 6. It might be my number 6. But yeah, I love this movie. So. Yeah.
This especially during Halloween season, you need something maybe a little different from what you're going through. You're watching some ghost movies, some slashers. Mix it up. Throw a little Barker in there, and Hellraiser might be the perfect one to throw in.
Oh, I could get behind that. Being so this is the first time I've seen this movie that I think that's a very good place to jumpstart into Clive Barker, because some of the other ones that we have talked about, you kind of have to have that jumping off point, that little bit of that boost here before you start getting into the Nightbreed and some of those other ones, because we all don't want to watch Rawhead Rex again.
And some of us do.
I gotta see it.
Yeah. The only other final thought I have for this is I want to go watch this entire series now. I've only made it to 3. I have not gone past that. At some point I will do the entire series, but I'm scared.
Yeah.
That's scarier than any of these movies. It's trying to watch all the Hellraisers.
Ain't that the truth?
Oof. All right. Let's wrap this thing up with a couple of plugs that we have here. First of all, we mentioned it earlier, but if you do want to find our Patreon, head on over to patreon.com/backlot605. You can join our Patreon, become a patron there. We do got to give a quick shout out to all of our patrons, as we have promised on there. One of them, he's on the show. He's here. Andy Heller. He is a resident schmuck on the Backlot 605 Patreon. We also got to give a shout out Blake Ginnathan, Derek Vierink, and Logan Schwanke for being patrons. Thank you guys so much.
I also want to point out real quick here, because he literally just posted it as we are live on YouTube right now, that he thought that Rawhead Rex was a decent movie to watch.
Yeah, it is. And I think Logan followed suit of me and Brian. Watch the full movie on YouTube in good quality. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to find that.
Andy, just hop on YouTube and just type it in.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. So, and then if you want to find this podcast, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, Amazon Music, and on YouTube to see our lovely, lovely faces. There. Hi. And then if you want to check us out, check us out on backlot605.com. That's where you can find our latest movie news, reviews, articles, discussions. As of this recording, we just dropped our Creep Show animated special review, which is coming to Shudder this week. So go check that out there. We do have a review up for Andy's favorite movie of the year, Hubie Halloween. I think we have the highest rating on the entire internet for that movie. So that'll be our claim to fame.
This is why we don't let Andy review.
I was going to say this is why I'm not actually part of Backlot 605. This is why I'm a friend of Backlot 605.
You are a schmuck in our hearts.
I'm a schmuck at heart.
Always. Brian, where can they find us on the socials?
On the socials, check us out: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Obviously, if you're checking us out on YouTube, hey, we're talking to you right now. You can also check us out on Facebook on South Dakota Film Community Group. Join the conversation, talk, and see what's going on. We like to just throw crap out there and see what people are thinking and what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Mr. Andrew, the fat dude who digs flicks, Heller, where can the people find your said podcast, Fat Dude Digs Flicks?
Well, you can find all things Fat Dude Digs Flicks. Let me do that again.
Wow, can you even say your
wow?
Like, you're alive. You can't redo it.
F it, I'm doing it live. That's it. Fat Dude Digs Flicks.
Yeah. I figured you're having problems. I'd spell it out for you.
Let me just read it off the prompt, and then I'll get it right.
Fat Dude Digs Chicks.
So, funny story, off topic, really quickly. Like for the longest time, whenever I did the videos for Last Stop, somebody would always comment, "What did he say? Fat Dude Digs what? Fat Dude what?" And it would be something dirty, like that I can't say on this podcast. But so I would start to slow it down and be like, this is Andy, the resident fat dude of Fat Dude Digs Flicks, just to kind of like make sure there was no confusion there. But now I can't even say it. So Andy, Fat Dude Digs Flicks. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also find my podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, and Amazon Podcast, wherever your pods can be caught. Do a search for Fat Dude Digs Flicks, and you will get Let's Talk About and the Criterion Break with Andy and my lovely co-host, Blake Ginnathan, birthday boy himself.
Whoa,
Blake Ginnathan.
That's right.
Everybody
birthday, Blake.
Gets birthday wishes, and they're like, Brian, no, don't worry about that guy.
Lovely was too nice for Blake, though.
Brian, happy belated birthday, Brian.
I'm just giving you crap.
Brian, have a lovely birthday.
It was already like a week ago.
We probably celebrated by watching Rawhead Rex.
No, I think I'd already got it done by then. That's not a way to celebrate.
All right. So, yeah, please go check out Andy, Fat Dude Digs Flicks. We love Andy. He will be back on very shortly. He will be back within 2 months to be back on the show. So we're not telling you yet what for.
Dun, dun, dun.
But if you know Andy and you know who his favorite director is, that might give a hint of where he might show up again.
Oh, yeah, I know what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
His favorite director, huh?
Yeah. Let's think about that. All right. Anyway, thank you all for joining us. This has been a fantastic episode of the show. Glad we could talk some Hellraiser. Glad we're wrapping up Clive Barker series. And we should announce before we leave here what the hell we're doing next month.
What are we doing next month?
Next month, we're definitely changing it up. We're going from Clive Barker to, I don't know, America's sweetheart. Our every man's man, Kurt Russell, will be our topic of November's series. We're doing Kurt Russell month. Very excited to do that. We are kicking it off next week, talking the Kurt Russell Western, Tombstone.
Sweet.
Tombstone will be the topic of next week. So please join us then. Anyway, for Andy Heller, Brian Mensing, I'm Casey Kelderman. We'll see you guys next time on the Backlot of South Dakota.
It's not Michael Bay.